Welcome back to the Boston Chris podcast. And if you're new, I would love to earn your subscription or follow with this brand new episode of the show featuring singer-songwriter and radio DJ podcast host, my friend James Cook. Guys, this is such a super interesting and intriguing and insightful, the Three Eyes interview. That's Four Eyes now with James because he just has so many different perspectives on the music business. More than that, I've been waiting, probably 7 or 8 years to chat with James in this setting. We've talked off air. We're friends in real life, and I'm just a huge fan of this man's sound, his vibe, the way he tells stories in such a short amount of time, and how he still leans on the old school strategy for concept records. The latest of which is 2025's Texican Velvet, which is a record we talk in depth about in this interview. Man, what an awesome opportunity to chat with James, and I know you guys will learn so much from this show, especially if you're a singer-songwriter, if you're struggling with your own creativity, if you also use music as therapy, as James does. And James, at the end of this interview, says it all when he says that music is his everything. And he explains what he means by that. Man, what a great show. I would love for you guys to follow along with our journey. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed this episode. And, of course, you can see and hear more in-depth, candid conversations like this one by subscribing or following. And please comment down below your very favorite part of this episode. And without further ado, we're going to get into it with the one and the only, my buddy, James Cook.
It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. Until we all lose connection.
Hey everybody, it's me, Jarrett, from your favorite band, Bowling for Soup. Thank you for tuning in to the Boston Chris podcast.
I got to sit and chat with Kevin Fowler once, and it was the best. He came over to the studio when I was still working at the Outlaw, and somebody told me, hey, you should ask him, when you do the interview, you should ask him about his time with Dangerous Toys. And I was like, was he in the band Dangerous Toys? He's like, yeah. He joined at the very tail end of the band's success, but he was in the band. So I found there's not many pictures, but I found as many as I could find of pictures of Kevin Fowler. I just plastered my studio. I just stapled them all to the walls. And when he came in, he just started laughing because it was just him with long hair. And he starts looking around. He's laughing, and he finally grabs one picture, and he looks at it, and he goes, oh, man, the Lord giveth. And then he took out his cowboy hat, and he goes, the Lord just taketh away.
The last time I saw him, they were playing this Name That Tune thing, and the guitar player was trying to get him to name songs based on, just how many notes he plays on it. And one of those songs he played was Enter Sandman. And freaking Fowler just started singing it with the crowd. And I was like, I got it on video, thank goodness. And
That's freaking amazing.
So I put it on TikTok. I said I went to a Kevin Fowler show and a Metallica concert broke out.
That's kick. Man, I'm telling you, have you listened to like his early stuff, like Huntsville?
Yeah.
When I first got with the station, let me tell you something also. Whenever you take over a Texas country radio station, I'll let you know a little something about it. Everybody and their mother wants you to know about the artist they love, which I love about the scene. That is something very cool about the scene. But as soon as I started with the station, there was a guy in my hometown who took me outside and said, I want you to hear early Kevin Fowler. And I'm thinking like it's going to be some squeaky, clean cowboy caca. No, it was metal. There's a song called Huntsville. It just sounds like some Pantera song with some good old boys in the backtrack. It's awesome.
That's why we podcast, man. You never know where these folks came from, right?
Really,
yeah. But yeah, man, we're excited. We got James
and I
Cook
do
here.
love learning the history of them.
Yeah, same. It's James Cook week here on the show, man.
How you
Finally,
been,
man, I'm doing good. This has been a long time coming. I want to say years and years and years we've been talking about doing this, right? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I met you, I think, in an award show.
Yeah.
I'd heard of you beforehand. I can't tell if you're frozen or if you just have a dynamic smile.
No.
Nope. You came back just in time to tell me no.
I think
That's
there's a
good.
delay on your end. Is the delay gone?
The delay, well, in my end, it was on your end.
Okay. Yeah.
So it must be me.
Oh yeah, I see that a little bit now. Okay.
It's
Hopefully.
usually me.
Well, hopefully that goes away. Yeah, it was an award show. It was TRRR in Arlington Music Hall that we met in person, but we had known each other for a while prior to that. Obviously, me being a music fan, you being in the business as a songwriter, also as a radio guy as well. Always looked up to you in both of those aspects. So it's good to have you here, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm a big fan of the show, and I love the questions you ask. I always see like a little snippet pop up, and I'm always like, "Ooh, good question."
That's the point, man. That's
As
what
a
I
fellow
keep telling
podcaster,
people.
I'm very much
those are important.
very much a fan.
Those snippets are important, man. That's the kind of the new thing we've done since we came back, because I took a long break and we just did everything long form back when podcasting was in the land of dinosaurs. And now everybody does it. And so when I came back, I was like, we need to figure out a new lane. And so I thought the little snippets were the new lane, and they're going really well. So I'd love to chat about the first one now, and then I'm going to tell you my favorite James Cook song later that I definitely wanted to get you to tell the story behind. But the first one is called Is That All You've Got? Can you tell us a little bit about this song?
Yeah, the song itself, I did. It was a long journey with the song, and it was something that I kind of knew. Well, I want a triumphant song. I had gone to Music Fest a few years back, and they redirected traffic, and I was about 30 minutes from getting to Steamboat, and they redirected traffic, and I had to drive, and I was in the middle of a blizzard, and there was a point where I realized I can't follow everybody because I'm in this car. Everybody's in trucks, and I'm in this car, and I know I'll get stuck. So I got stuck a few times. I had to go out when I was literally hanging off of, like, facing toward the edge of a cliff of a mountain. I had to go out there and chisel all the ice off. I drove all day, all night, and then I finally had to stay the night somewhere so that I can maybe regroup and try again in the morning. I woke up the next day, could not get out of where I was. Finally, there was like a guy that was in the middle of nowhere, and he goes, "Hey, man, are you going to Steamboat?" I mean, he was in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea how I found this guy. And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to Steamboat." He goes, "A lot of wrecks, a lot of crazy crashes. You might want to just head home." That's all I needed. So I just headed back home. It took me a long time to drive home. I had to drive north and then south to get back to Denver to get there. And I had to drive all the way up to Denver, then drive all the way down. After that long drive, I said, there's got to probably be a song in this of, just completing something or looking at something big and saying, I've got to accomplish it, even though I didn't accomplish what I was trying to do, because the new goal became just make it home. Like, forget the show, forget all that. Just, you got a wife and kids at home. You need to make it home. So when I finally got home, I thought, well, there's a story in this. And then I watched Forrest Gump. This is my favorite part. You know that scene, right? Where
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan is on the ship and he's screaming. He's crazy. It's always my favorite scene of the movie because he's just at the top of his lungs screaming, "Is that all you've got?" And I was like, there's the title right there. And just decided to tell a story of triumph with this character, Josie. And that's how the song came about. It took a minute for me to finish it up and to come up with the ideas for lyrics and what I wanted to do with it. So
the very first words you spoke in this interview was a long journey. That was a long journey. That's what you just said to preempt that story. That's you in a nutshell with all of these songs. It's every song you have is a long journey, kind of in a short amount of time. And I just love that about your art. And
yeah, I like to write full albums with one idea because I think that the song isn't long enough a lot of times.
yes,
I was like, well, there's more I wanted. And then the next thing I'm working on, I'm actually working on something right now. And it's way longer than that.
well, I'm
It's
excited
so
to show
long,
folks the song.
what I'm coming up with. But I mean,
This is a live version of the song
go ahead.
from James's from his YouTube channel. It's called "Is That All You've Got?" We're gonna unpack more with James here in a minute, but y'all check out the song.
been here a few times before, hanging from the edge, only one more. Wish you walk away back up again, step by step until she meets you. It's hard to see when she's standing in her own way. She's never cared for excuses that goes double for the one she said. She's shouting from the mountains to the heavens that surround them. Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Oh Lord, this howling in madness, ooh, chasing her around. Is that all you got? Screaming, is that all you got? 'Cause I've got more. Just as solid as a rocky as she falls to pieces, but she lets the landslide do what it pleases. Well, the vultures, they're swarming surrounding her, plunging down the neck, trying to break the girl, clinging to the cracks of those tall, stretched walls. Josie's leading from the ledge, so you can hear that call. Hear that call. She's sending the mountains to the heavens that surround them. Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Oh Lord, this hell in the mountains, ooh, chasing her around. Is that all you got? Screaming, is that all you got? 'Cause I've got more. Into the cracks of those tall, stretched walls. Josie's leading from the ledge, so you can hear that call. Hear that call. She's shouting out loud and proud, don't dare talk, she's all about. No one's ready for what's in store. No one whispers when they wanna win a whole soul. Shouting from the mountains to the heavens that surround them. Is that all you got? Screaming, is that all you got? Oh Lord, this hell in the mountains, ooh, chasing her around. Is that all you got? Screaming, is that all you got? I've got more. Oh, Josie's been here a few times before, hanging from the edge, only one more.
All right, so we're back. Yeah, continue on, man. Definitely have like the whole concept album fluidity subject on my outline, because that's something that you definitely have in your career with the different records and EPs that you've done. That's probably from, when we grew up, that's the way albums were put out, right? You would know what the next song was and it would flow correctly and all of that. There's a real art to that, isn't there?
I like that kind of art. I've always been a fan of it. I think it's something that gets lost, that it's kind of like some hidden ammo. In my experience, I've always found it to be something that whenever you explain it to other people, they're like, man, that didn't sound like a single. And it's totally not. It's something that they used to do. So I was a big fan of the Beatles. I was always a fan of, Pink Floyd, and finding out, you can make one idea into this really long idea. And then also, I think it helped me kind of focus on how to write it, because a lot of times I want to write about a mentality or an emotion. And when I don't want to get caught up in this same old. So in order to come up with more, I come up with more characters and think, well, how would they deal with that? How would they deal with this thing? The first album is a great example. Like Lullaby for the Rapture is something where I knew it was just going to be one subject. But I thought, well, there's so many ways to look at it, and I can probably find it all in these little characters. So in order for me to get this one idea that I had out, I wanted to explore all the emotions that would come with this one idea. What if the world was ending? How would you deal with it? So in that album, I chose 6 different people, 4 characters, 4 songs with single characters. The last song has 2 characters in it. So I just wanted to know, or think to myself, I know how I would deal with it, but that doesn't matter. How would these other people deal with it?
I definitely want to chat about kind of the way you choose which songs go in those and which ones are standalone, but let's talk about that in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about your Genesis story. You grew up in Wichita Falls, is that right, around that area?
Yeah, born and raised here. I left for a few years to live in Austin. I lived in San Antonio first. Then I moved to Austin for a little bit, and then then I moved to College Station, where I stayed in a guy's closet for 3 solid months.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Do you remember the movie?
Go ahead.
Do you remember the movie Real Genius?
Yes.
Okay, so I loved this idea when he told it was the guy who was playing bass for me at the time. I said, "Man, I'd love to move here," because I was always at his house, and he goes, "You could just stay in the closet." And I go, "That's awesome." I mean, I think I just thought about the character from the movie and thought like that would just be funny. And let me tell you now, nothing is funnier than coming home, opening the door, seeing your roommate, seeing his friends, waving at them, and then walking into the closet.
Yeah.
And that's just, I had everything set up in there, so it was really, really
That's
fun.
some Harry Potter stuff right there, my dude.
Yeah.
So what's it like
Yeah.
growing up in Wichita Falls? What was family life like and everything for you?
Family was great. My dad was a musician. We don't have tons of musicians in my family, but we do have musicians in my family. And we do have music lovers in my family, on both sides. So I always kind of joke that my dad taught me how to play guitar, but my mom showed me how to shake my ass on stage. So if it wasn't for my mom, I probably wouldn't have the nerve to go do this stuff, or the courage. So, but the family life was great. I went through things in my teenage years, which meant I could either, there was no counseling when I was young.
Yeah.
So music became therapy, like a lot of guys that get into it, a lot of people that get into it. So it just began as that. And living around here was a little tough because there were no bands that were successful except for the biggest band to ever come out of Wichita Falls, which were Bowling for Soup. They would have me open for them when I was young. So they were my first experience with a band, and then they shot up. In like 2 years, they were nominated for a Grammy.
Mm-hmm. It was so
But
fast.
I didn't know what steps they took to get there. And what it was being themselves, and they got by coincidence at the time, they were big fans of punk. I'm sorry about that. They were big fans of punk music, which was, becoming pretty big around that time. So around here, they became kind of like this is what you would have to do to become anything.
Yeah. And so what does it look like
to become anything?
For
and
you?
then, but that wasn't really my route. So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
No, go ahead, man. I cut you off. I thought you were done.
No, go ahead. What did you say just now?
Oh, I was just gonna say what when you're young and I mean you have the music lovership from your mom's side, the musicianship from your dad's side. Like, what does it look like for you to become a musician, and how old were you at the time?
it wouldn't. I mean, I was 17 and I hung out with some other musicians around town. I would open again for Bowling for Soup, but I would also there were some bars around town that I would play at. But I wasn't happy with it at all. I was never happy with music. It wasn't that music made me unhappy. Music made me so happy. It was trying to figure out, what do they want? What do people want? And around here at that time, all they wanted was covers. So I didn't want to do covers. So I was in band after band after band. And no matter what band I would start, they would end up saying, well, we need to learn covers. I'd be like, okay, whatever. I really don't want to do covers, but we can learn covers. And then I would realize all we know now is covers. And then I would quit the band because that's not the band I signed up for. I quit my own band. I started a band, I don't know, about 10 years ago, maybe even longer than, it had to have been longer than that, actually. And then one day I was hanging with the band and they said, well, I don't ever want to play out of town. So I quit the band. Even though I'd started the band, I quit it because I didn't want to, I didn't want there to be any bad blood. Plus, I didn't want them to, I wanted them to know this is how serious I am. Like when I want my music more than anything. So.
Yeah,
So it was hard around here. Getting into original music was really, really hard around here. I found it easier when I left town, which I'm assuming a lot of the musicians do. But
you know, it's funny you say that because I find like the genesis story of most artists either or one of two things: either they're playing and passionate about the music because of a therapeutic nature, because it's a friend, it's a safe place, and then the other people are doing it for the opposite sex, right? Like, I have to get noticed by this guy, or I have to get noticed by this girl. And I always find a correlation between the people that are doing it for therapy are the ones that want to be original, they want to write their own stuff, and the ones that are doing it for the opposite sex just want to play covers at first. So there's always that correlation there. So like when you're faced with the man, you know, all these venues just want covers, it doesn't hit because you're not that kind of artist. You're the guy that did this for therapy and you're writing to get those feelings out. So how'd you get over that hurdle and get into where you are now, which is a very original artist?
So I think I've gone back and forth with this, and in the end, especially because I was in radio for so long. So when you're in radio, most of the time you don't get to play like James's top 5. You got to play what the masses want to hear.
That's right.
So there's a little give and take there for me. And what became cool was whenever I got to play shows as James Cook, the songwriter, I didn't mind doing covers. Like, honestly, I knew covers. I knew tons of tunes. And I played all my music tonight. Do you want to hear that song? Yeah, I know it. And you know why I don't care about playing it? Because you didn't beg me. You didn't make it where everything was uncomfortable if I didn't play it. There's a side that I fight with, and I'm sure a lot of musicians are like this, but I fight with that guy that wants to please everyone. And then the same guy who just wants to, I just want to give him what I got. There's got to be, to me, there's like a cool balance that I've learned, and it really helps the interaction with them, and it helps me with them, and helps me to, also it helps me to identify my people. So like one of my covers that I don't mind playing is like some Delbert McClinton. And if you know him, then you're my people.
Yeah.
Like playing him equals, well, you're one of the cool ones. You must be if you know who that guy is. Or Pat Green or Cross Canadian Ragweed, or that's when I'm doing those covers. And I only do those every once in a while in long shows. But to be able to be a songwriter now, that means a lot. To be, whenever I go to shows and people recognize my music, it had been so long of writing music that it just seems unreal when people actually request a song from me or tell me one of my songs or tell me some lyric back to me. It's unreal for me, and I'm very grateful. I know that's cheesy, but
man,
I am very grateful for it because of the fact that.
So funny you have that cup. You'll appreciate it later. There's a segment coming up later you'll really love because of that cup. Do you feel like there's a strategy personally for you, not just from a recording standpoint, but from a live standpoint, in using covers to show people your originality? Because I feel like a lot of artists can use a cover that a person might know, and kind of switch it up a little bit in your own way to get them invested so they'll listen to an original song next. Do you feel like that's a thing?
Yeah. It's hard. This is what's hard for me is that when I choose a cover, it's because I really love the beat. Like Shape I'm In by the band.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do that song better, man? That song was perfect. Like I remember when I showed it to my drummer was the first one because he'd always known me as a guy who would take a song and just make it my own. Like it's now James Cook. But when I showed him that one, he goes, "You want to do it like the live version?" I'm like, we can't do it better. Like they're just so good. And so I started choosing covers that I knew, well, that one's going to help with this beat during a live show. So when it comes to my live shows, I think I have an odd mentality for a songwriter. And it's, you ever listen to Queen Killers? I always use this as the example. I remember getting the album Queen Killers Live for the first time and me loving every tune because they took their songs and they just did whatever with them in order to make the night more energetic or in order to make it more accessible for the band to be able to perform it in a certain way that the audience would react to it. So that's always my goal. Like if I play more with my originals than I do my covers live.
I
Like
love
if
that.
you already hear, yeah. So if you hear my song on an album, when you hear it live, you'll be like, I know what this is, but this is totally not like the album. As a matter of fact, we've had backup performers. Like we've had a guitarist and drummers that whenever they hear my music, I say, no, don't listen to the album, man. You have to listen to the live version because it sounds nothing like the album. And I always think that's a cooler way to approach it because when I'm in the studio, this is what I'm hearing. Like this. I think of James Cook when he was little, putting on his headphones and listening to his dad's records and like really capturing the mood of, the Beatles or hell man, that ZZ Top Fandango album was a really good one to listen to in those earphones. But hearing, I'm losing focus. Listening to studio versions is what I go for when I go in the studio.
Mhm.
I try to think what's the best way we can make this for their ears and in the car. And then when we're live, I think, well, we're going to pump these people up, man. Whenever you're listening to me, maybe acoustic in a listening room, that's a totally different vibe. And I create a different vibe for it because I've been to listening rooms and I know what I expect from a listening room. But when I go to a bar on a Friday or Saturday night and it's a pumped up place, I have no problem. I don't feel out of place. I'm always like, yeah, because it changes up a little bit.
It's funny that, man, I love that we're talking about this because these are kind of like the little parts of the music business that people don't think about. And I think that's what's great about having these discussions. I've chatted with artists so many times over the years where they talk about not recording a song, not bringing a song to the studio because they don't want to have to perform it the same way every time live. And that's what people expect because that's what they have on the album. So they will leave a song purposely off of a record so that they can play it however they want in a live setting. What you're saying here is you don't give a shit whether they hear it on the album or not. You're still going to play it however you want.
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to those, I think I've chosen a beat because trust me when I say I have to like talk to the band and say, well, we're going to do something different. It takes a while before we do it. As a matter of fact, there's songs off the new album that I don't really think we have down yet. I don't think we have them totally ready for a live performance, and it's sad. But it's not their fault. It really isn't their fault. It's me saying, okay, well, we need to change this. And it's how I go about it. I'm sure I'm annoying to.
So
but yeah, I think that studio's the studio.
Do you change up songs based on the room as well? Like even if you're full band each time, are you almost like an up-tempo version or a ballad version of songs? Are you changing them up to that degree?
If I'm understanding your question, I do change my songs during a set list. Is that what you're asking? Like, do I change it up? Or?
Like based on the room, like you're talking about, like a restaurant environment versus say like maybe a rowdy bar environment. Maybe you're playing the same songs in both of those environments, but you're playing one more up tempo because of the room.
Yeah. So I've been playing live shows. This is the hardest part, is playing live shows and trying to keep their attention, trying to keep them going. So I change it up. I do have, I'm sure every musician that I've ever played with can tell you, yeah, it's annoying. Like, he does not keep the same set list. Like, one of the guys that we have in the band made laminated set lists, and the two other guys in the band that had been playing with me for a while goes, we're not going to need that, man. There's no way James just keeps the set list the same. Even if he gave you a set list minutes before you went on stage, halfway through the show, he'll still say, I want you to grab the second set and put that in the first set and grab this. Because I look at the room and think, no, they're wanting to scream, or we need to ease into this a little bit. Restaurants are a great example of that. So yeah, I'm not like other musicians. I've written, if you listen, you told me that you listen to my music. If you listen to Flat, Foolish, and Despised, all the way to Wake the Dead, there's a lot of differences between those two songs. So I'm not going to play those two songs in the same place. And I wrote them. I mean, I wrote Lullaby for the Rapture so we could be in a listening room. Everything could calm down and it can come to this moment. But when you hear the live album that I just got finished with, Lullaby for the Rapture sounds completely different than it does on the album. And I love every second of it. I mean, it's being able to do that is fun with your album. It also makes it where I get to say, well, this version goes on the album, because I have a more energetic version. There's a few songs on the live album that I worked on at the end of 2025 that when you hear them, there's a reason why I said, let's do a live version of that song, because it doesn't sound the same at all.
Yeah, and I love that about you as an artist too, and as a writer. Like, just having all of these influences. Where is that coming from? Like, I know where the freedom comes from to be able to put all of this stuff out, but like, for you as a creator, where is all of these different influences and styles and genres? Where's all that coming from?
I could break this down for one dude, but it explains everything. It's Paul McCartney.
I love that.
It's every time I hear Paul McCartney, like when I was growing up, I couldn't tell you which one was Paul. Paul sang Yesterday and Helter Skelter. That's not the same dude.
Right.
That's not the same damn song. I will, and I think it's some Paul McCartney greatness, you know what I mean? But I think and then I was into his solo stuff. I always liked that I had to guess or figure out it was him. And then after a while I knew it was him. And I remember thinking, well, how did he come up with it? And it was cool to hear his interviews and him saying, well, I was listening to Paul Simon, or I was listening to Little Richard, or in the 80s, it was him listening to disco, like or the late 70s. He would listen to some disco song and go listen to those tunes. It's insane how a Beatle wrote funk like out of nowhere, because he just heard some song and thought, man, that's really cool. I want to do something like it. And I think I've always been that kind of person. So whenever I first got with the Texas country scene, it seemed way more relatable than anything else I'd been doing. It was acoustic music. It was songwriting music. There were so many different styles at that time when I first got into it. It's a little more homogenized now, but back then there was so many different styles that you could just pick from all these Texas artists. And that's what I liked about what I was going to start working on. This was about 10 years ago. Was I'm going to start really living up to I guess a Texas style Paul McCartney-esque kind of thing. Because also think about songs like Lady Madonna or Penny Lane, where you have these songs where they're very much, he's writing about people. So the ability, Jenny Wren, oh my God, Jenny Wren's an incredible tune. So the same guy, again, who can write goofy little love songs, silly little love songs, can also write really in-depth songs about actual people and emotion. And also all of his favorites were all of my favorites. So I think whenever I break it down, I always think, what would Paul do? Which is, there are no limits. There are no rules. This is art. You get to do what you want. And you find you somewhere in there. Make sure to always find you in this mix. And I think that's how I create my music.
How does that mentality fit in Texas for you? I'm curious.
Remembering which artists work when I do that help. And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
ZZ Top.
Sure.
Okay. If I say I'm going to write a song like ZZ Top, you tell me a Texan that's going to argue with that, right? If I say I'm gonna write a song like Steve Miller, what Texan is gonna argue that? That's good Texas writing right there, boy. So I think as a matter of fact, I did an interview years ago, and it was with Vaden Todd Lewis from the Toadies.
Yeah.
God, amazing band, one of my favorites of all time. Amazing songwriter. And I was in the middle of talking to him about my favorite album, Rubberneck, probably the best album of that year. It was so good. But I remember asking him, like, man, these riffs and this rock, it's so grunge. And he goes, no, it's not. He goes, all I'm doing is ZZ Top in that song. He's like, that's a ZZ Top riff. And I was like, that is a ZZ Top riff, man. I've never thought about that. So my whole mentality kind of changed a little bit on those riffs. And you can hear them in songs like Working Up a Storm or Tall Tales of a Brown Buffalo. You hear those riffs because I'm thinking, you know, what is it? WWZZD?
ZZTD.
WWZZTD.
Yeah, that's great. So, when in the process are you're almost like describing how you add Texas to your sound, whatever Texas looks like to you at that moment. When does that ingredient get added to the mix? Is it during the writing process or during the studio recording process, do you think?
I think it's during the writing process. I have a weird mentality toward this. I always do the 3 M's. And it doesn't always work. I try to do it the 3 M's. The 3 M's for me are, does it impress the masses, which you can't always do? Can you impress musicians? And can I impress me? So if I can do the 3 M's, so like while I'm playing it, I try to think to myself, am I going to want to do this song?
Are those equally important to you? All 3 of them?
Not the masses one. I wish that I would be more in tune with that. But I think that a lot of times if I did the masses, then I would be denying me more.
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
Yeah. So, but in the same sense, I know better than to tonight, start doing an emo-esque voice halfway through my show, my set. I know that they want to hear something a little more familiar. Plus, I fall into my voice very easily. It's nothing that I had to like grasp for or anything. It was just an easy transition. So I don't know. To be honest with you, I think of it like, well, live, how am I going to perform this? How are they going to see this? And I've seen so many audiences that I kind of know what turns their heads a little bit. I know what turns their chairs around, but it doesn't. It's not as much as the musician one. The musician one means a lot to me, and those songs I kind of categorize. So like you hear those like Working Up a Storm. That's one that I always think of because I think, oh, I'm gonna have so much fun showing the band this because they have to count.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing they like about me is I'm not really much of a numbers guy. I don't know if I wrote a song in 7/8. I have no idea. It's not until an actual musician comes up to me and says, oh, that song's in 7/8. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means. I know it flows like this when I do this and I think it sounds cool. But yeah, I think that while I'm writing it, I'm thinking of those things. Like I'm kind of thinking of the layers that I can add to it. And I don't put it down until I don't think I put it down until it's complete. And that becomes a hard part because this is the same guy who, again, likes Paul McCartney, who will write 3 different parts of a song in one song.
Yeah.
When did he say, now it's done? You know what I mean? Like, when did he go, now we're finished? Mm-hmm. So like Band on the Run's a great example. I always use that one because there's so many parts. And to me, you could have just taken one of those parts and elaborated just on that. And that would have been a freaking amazing song. So it is hard for me because I have so many different, I think that's another thing Paul has taught me is the tools. You gather tools. Are you really done with the song? Can you add a coda at the end? Can you add a bridge in the middle? Can you even put the bridge in the beginning? What happens if you don't, Boris, get straight to the chorus and then don't get to the chorus again till like way later because you've come up with all these other different parts?
Yep.
So the possibilities keep me up at night. But
see, to me, that's what makes Paul a composer rather than just a songwriter, right? He's all of that. He's an arranger, a mixer, a composer, a a producer. He's everything on the song while he's writing the song, and that's what makes him so impressive. Another one that I love that does that is Paul Simon. The Pauls are just ridiculous. But
Yeah.
so I mean, basically, what you're talking about here is a subject we talk about also on the show a lot, and that's you're calling it impressing the masses versus impressing me, but I call that commercial versus creative. So what's that like for you? That struggle between being true to your creativity, but also being commercial to as many people as possible.
I don't think I mind it. I don't think I mind it because of the fact that I get to be creative. And I'll give you an example. I like to lean into it. There's a song that I had called "We Both Know Better" that I wrote, and then Sarah Hobbs did with me. When I was writing that, like I immediately went, "Oh, this is poppy. This is really poppy." But instead of getting discouraged by it, I was like, just lean into the poppy. Like that's another thing Paul taught you. You know what I'm saying? Like the next one will be creative. You can make whatever you want. You can make one right after this one. It can be as weird as you want it. Right now, lean into that and see what you come up with when you're doing that. And that was the most successful song I did on the charts. But right before I released that one, I released "Wake the Dead,"
Yeah.
which that one did good. But if you listen to the end of that one was that one had a tail end that didn't sound like the rest of it. It was completely different than the rest of the song. And I even told, I remember telling my radio rep, this is not music they play on the radio. Like they won't play this. And it did really well, but it obviously didn't do as good as the commercial one, but I'd already prepped for it. Like I'd already known what's going to do good, what's not going to do good. And so I just lean into, like if it's a pop song, I lean into it. I don't mind it. And if it's, because I know the next one I can make as weird as I want. And nothing can hold me back on it. So it's just that's just a song. I don't really think of it too much like that.
It's all about just going where the song wants to go, letting the song lead the way, essentially.
Yeah. So I have a song that I have a song called "Straight to Hell" also, and in that song, halfway through it, the timing changes. Again, I didn't know the timing changed. Okay, I don't know these things. It wasn't until my drummer said, "How am I supposed to do that? It's not a 4/4. I'm like, my click track. I have to do something different right there." And I didn't know what to tell him because I don't know how to deal with that stuff. I'm not a drummer. And I remember thinking like, and so it becomes kind of hard in a moment because for this song, "Straight to Hell," I needed it to ease in so that you would start the story. But halfway through the song, I needed you to feel uneasy. So what better way to do that than just make the moments jerk back and forth? Like I knew it wasn't in sync with the rest of the song, but I didn't know numbers were involved. I was told I wouldn't have to count if I was a musician.
Wrong.
Yeah, right. But in that song, that's a good example because like I could have, and maybe I should have, just kept the beat and figured out a great way to keep that vibe going, that little prairie sound, galloping, like, horse on the range kind of sound. But halfway through that song, it just starts striking you and starts hitting you with this off timing. And then it goes right back into the regular timing. So I've played that song live. And when people are up dancing and then all of a sudden they don't know what to do because the rhythms change, the beats change, and then it goes back all of a sudden, that's hard for me because it's the people pleasing side of me that says, "Oh, you guys were just dancing, having a good time. And here I am being creative."
Yeah, but you're making people listen, and I mean, ultimately, you're making them feel as well, and that's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, the concept album that I came up with is the concept album, "The Other Side of Hell." It's supposed to start with these crazy, maddening moments in the beginning. It's supposed to put you off, and then it's supposed to calm you down, and then it's supposed to bring you back to this crazy wickedness because it's the story of my life before I met my wife, that album. So my life was insane. I'm not going to write some straightforward song. I wanted you to feel as crazy as my life was at the time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the album,
you're putting
it's
people
nice
on a high
peaceful.
wire, basically.
Yeah, and it's the ride. Like if you listen to my live album, if you listen to my studio albums, it's a ride. I take you all the way through there emotionally. Hopefully I do.
Absolutely, you do. That's what makes you amazing, dude. Where does the idea, I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but where does the idea for the concept album come from? Just the idea of doing that, but then having the courage to actually go through with that in today's environment, because very few people are doing that nowadays.
Yeah, I think it's because we're in a singles world.
We are, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm just not gonna. I'm hardly impressed by the singles world, though. It's not that I'm not impressed; it's that I'm not as impressed. So, like, I'm not gonna. I guess I don't want to do it because I can't figure out how James Cook would do it. I think that's mainly what it is. So, the idea I'm working on right now, it has so many different things I want to do to it. And at first, I even told myself, just make it one song. Don't do this thing that you always like to do. Try to focus on one song. Halfway through the song, I'm like, you know what you could do is like make a part 2. And like I keep working other things. It might be my ADHD, but I keep working other angles while I'm trying to work this one angle. So I think concept albums are because I think of a broader picture. I don't know. I really wish I could tell you why
Do you think it's more rewarding for you as an artist because maybe the story is more complete?
Yeah, it's also because I think a song is so, I don't know, it just seems so bare. It doesn't seem like there's enough there.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you earlier, I wrote a single and I just dove into the single. If I just released that, I would have been so mad at myself. I had to write all those other tunes on the album to feel okay about writing that one. And if you listen to Straight to Hell, I think I kind of had to write a pop song in order to counter that. It's how my mind wants to give it to you. I want to give you this whole basket or assorted flowers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to just give you one. I want to give you this whole bouquet of music. Maybe that's it.
Is it clear to you, because you're talking about how clear it is that all of these other angles come in from a story that you start with that's supposed to be by itself, and then you have all these other angles that are very clear to you, that are presenting themselves to you. Is it just as clear to you when the story is through and it's over? Is there just nothing else coming in? Is that as clear as well?
A lot of times, yeah. I think so. And I think that's another thing is that when you open yourself up, you allow yourself more input into the situation. You don't limit yourself. And so I think you're right. I think it's, I think that is what it is.
So like,
Maybe some realization.
it's almost like having inner voices, and then at some point the voices just stop, and you're finished now. The story's been told, and now there's a new story coming down the road at some point that you have to be ready for, right?
Yeah, that, and also I think it's also sort of like the less is better. Like when I add so much, sometimes I realize, you can take that out. Don't mess with that. Just get straight to the thing.
Redundancy, right? You got to be careful of redundancy.
And also I like to look at a song and say, what can we do to get rid of some things? What's extra weight? What's causing the extra weight here? Because I would hate to write a song where somebody said, let's just skip to the cool part. Like, I always think of that. Like, it's only 3 minutes to 5 minutes of their time. And I want to make sure that it's worth their time. Always.
So, I mean, essentially the whole song has to be the cool part. So, like, is there that's got to be a lot of pressure on you, man, to try to make everything the cool part, right?
Yeah. But I think it's, again, I think I ask a lot from people. Getting attention from people is a big ask, especially nowadays.
Absolutely, yeah.
Getting attention from it, I don't let that pass me by. Where I'm at in history, where I'm at with technology.
Yeah, because we're in a doom scroll generation, and you're asking people to listen to a 10-song album that everything is intertwined and fits together, and the 10th song is means something to the first song, and the 7th song and the second song are first cousins. Like, that's all part of what you're creating in a doom scrolling generation, right? Like, on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's why I'm always holding out about it. And yeah, asking for their attention is a lot, and I ask for a lot of their attention. And I don't. It seems so stupid, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I just want to say, here's a thing I did. Hopefully you've been a fan. Hopefully you like it. I know that we're in a world where we have to get their attention, but I know that once I have your attention, I even wrote it. I remember writing a line once that said, "You have their attention. What are you doing with it?"
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I wrote the line, and I remember going, "Oh, I can't write that because that you just made fun of yourself. Is what you're doing." But then it started reflecting. I always think of that line now that I wrote, which is, you're posting something today. Is it worth their time? You're putting something out into the world today, whatever it is it worth their time? And that's what sucks, I guess, is because we're living in a time where there's so much of it. There's so much to digest.
Yeah. Oversaturation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So sometimes I look at it and, like, if you notice lately, I haven't posted lately.
Yeah.
Lately. And it's because I don't want to just be posting just to post. Whenever I have something exciting that I want you to know about, I'll start posting. And I know the algorithm and all that stuff. I couldn't care less. Honestly, I really don't care about that. That's someone else's game, and I'm not playing that shit.
So I've been shadow banned since like mid 2023 because I'm over consistent. Like literally, I'm posting probably 5 to 8 videos a day, both long form and short form. And I've been shadow banned for a long time. If you're wondering out there, if you're listening, shadow ban basically means that the algorithm thinks you're doing too much and they want you to slow down, and then they'll start showing your stuff to people again. So like if I took a week off from posting, my stuff would just go right back to the top, or whatever I was doing prior to being shadow banned. But at the same time, I feel like I don't know which thing is going to hit, right? I don't know if it's going to be a segment of this show or a segment from a show that I've done 6 months ago. You just never know. So I'm consistent in that for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't care about the algorithm. And number 2, I'm going more for something that's shareable rather than something that's viral, right? So I want people to share it, and I have people sharing content from 2018 still, right? Like almost 10 years ago. Christ, just to think of that, 2018 is almost 10 years is nuts. But that's what my goal is to make shareable content and instead of viral stuff. So
I think it's also like when it comes to the difference between a podcaster and a musician. Like, some musicians I know, not all of them, some of them have like a show that I'm like, who's coming to that?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, I guess because I have to pay bills also. So sometimes I have shows that I think to myself, I'm not telling the masses about this show, man. I don't mind playing this show and I don't know, or hitting it. Let me try this way. Hitting it up as much as I could. But whenever you're doing something like podcast, you're constantly talking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like when I was on the radio. Every day I got something new. I got a new person to talk to. I got new music. There was new stuff always happening. With me, I don't know. I don't produce like that. Like as the musician side of me, shit, on podcasts, I sit here and talk all damn day with you, man.
Yeah. It's hard because I'm not an on to the next kind of guy. Like, I like to reflect. I like to enjoy conversations that I have. But because I'm so fast paced and I'm doing 2 or 3 episodes a week, just not because I have to, but because the demand is there for it, which is a great freaking problem to have, right? Like, there's no shortage of guests. So that's an awesome thing to have. But at the same time, once this week's 2 episodes are over, I don't really get time to talk about that or think about it or brag about it or promote them. Like, it's on to the next, and that's the really bad part about doing this, I think. And I think it's the same way with a musician, because you're on to the next a lot too, right? Your first record's in the rearview mirror. You probably don't think about it very often unless somebody asks you about it,
Yeah, with the albums, I think it's a little bit different because they're the congested thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you waited for a year and a half to interview Kevin Fowler, that's going to be something you're talking about for quite some time. Because you didn't just pick up the phone and call him. You sat there for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, you sat there for a while. So that mentality toward it. Plus, it is the first album I did is always the one that everybody talks about. Like when I go see people that are fans, that's the first album they bring up is Man Lullaby. So that one's a little hard for me to escape, but yeah, I think also I think the difference is like whenever you're doing an album, after the album, you're still relying on the album.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm making money off that album, I'm playing songs off that album. I'm still connected hardcore.
Yeah.
My radio days, it was hard for me to stay connected to individuals, but always the message. So it's a different type of
I
streaming,
completely
really.
agree. Yeah. And
It's a totally different ballgame.
you have such a unique perspective having been in radio too. Like, and it's almost the opposite of who you are as an artist, right? You have to be playing singles. You have to play what's relevant and what resonates with people. You have to be commercial all the time in radio, and I think that gives you an advantage as a singer-songwriter too, don't you think?
I know that it made me stop caring as much. Stop
that.
worrying about my creativity because I knew my creativity's there, and I knew that my taste had to take a back seat when I first started.
Yeah.
Like the first week on radio, I realized, oh, I'm not allowed to be me on this. I gotta, because there's no way I would listen to this song. But with Texas music, I do want to say this though, because that was when I first started. I started on a hit radio station. Then I started on a top 40 country station. Then I worked for a rock station. Let me tell you, I loved working for the rock station, but it was the early 2000s. And after a while, I'm sorry, it just sounded regurgitative. It was the same stuff coming at me that I just got tired of it. Then here comes Texas country. And in 2010, when I first started working on the station, there were no limits. There wasn't a homogenized voice. There was independent artists literally coming to my station, sitting down, telling me where they're from, talking to me. That became something totally different. So, yeah, working radio got me to realize, okay, well, not everything I like has to be on the radio. As a matter of fact, it's not going to be. And recognizing what the masses like also, man, it's not hard for me to understand what the masses like. But it is a little difficult for me to say, that's not you, though.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that. I mean, I'm sure radio promoters that I've worked with are probably like, James, just write a song like that you're playing every day. Why are you writing all this weird, bluesy, these off-the-wall songs? Why are you writing like that? I'm sure radio promoters would just prefer if I took a top 5 song and just redid that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't like them. It just doesn't sound like anything that I would love to do over and over again every night. And also, it would definitely sound like a needle scratch, a record scratch on my shows. It would sound like, oh my God, what's this song? This didn't sound like anything he was doing before.
So you talked about the other side of hell being kind of your ode to your pre-wife days, like that season of your life. And I've read and talked to artists about how each record at times can be kind of an identifier to a certain phase or season of someone's life. So the question to me is, what's the Texican Velvet phase? What was the creative direction behind that for you as an artist?
I think I'd been going through a lot at that time, and I was trying to regroup a few things. So the idea for the album was, how do I make an album like the first one, where it's earthy, and it just relies on earthy, like, fiddle, mandolin, banjo. That's it. I don't want a full band. But my content, I really wanted first to make sure that I was writing about things that were messing with me at the time. And mortality. And what's funny is, as soon as I wrote it, I stopped worrying about it. It is therapeutic for me. So I was having a lot of problems, and I went to my therapist, and I laid it all out for him. And I don't remember much of the conversation. I just remember this sentence: James, it seems as though you're dealing with your own mortality. And I remember going, great, that's, however many hundred I spent on that, well worth it. See ya. Never. I realized, oh, I'm just dealing with death. How do I deal with that? And I had to learn about it myself. I listened to Stoicism. I had to sit there and listen to some philosophers discuss it. I know it sounds dumb, but I had to deal with it on my terms. But one of the ways I dealt with it was remembering what it was like to be younger and stop worrying so much about being older and trying to live in this brand new life that I've discovered now that I know I'm gaining on years. So it was one tune dealing with the fact that when I go places, some people know I'm Mexican and treat me certain ways. Some don't know I'm Mexican and still treat me certain ways. That had a lot to do with the word Texican. Um, I really wanted that word in there. Like, I didn't know what else I wanted. I just knew I wanted the word Texican. And then
That's kind of a
So
subtle fist shake, isn't it? Kind of.
it is for me.
I love you, man.
It is for me
I
because I don't
love
think
you
people
so
realize
much.
when they talk to me that way. I don't think they realize what I'm thinking. I'm like, why would you talk to me that? Do you know I'm half Mexican, or do you just not know that right now? And you don't. Most of them don't because my last name's Cook, so they have no idea I'm Mexican. Totally fine. But it causes me to look at certain people a certain way when they talk. So I wanted that to be a little bit of that, as well as the Spanish speaking song. I wanted to write one from so long, and at the time, I don't mind saying this. I was going through a lot with my wife. Me and her were having some mega problems. We'd always been so happy, and she was my light, and she had changed my life, and we weren't getting along. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to deal with it, and I dealt with it the worst way possible. And I kept dealing with it that way. And then finally, I realized through this album, my depression, what I'm going through, shouldn't affect her, even if she doesn't want to be with me. That shouldn't affect how we are to each other, even if we're not going to be together. How I deal with my friends, how I look at life, I had to look at it. And so this album was that. It was me looking at all those little, hell, even to the point, one of the songs, I'm thinking of one of the songs, I talk too much. I talk way too much. I'm a DJ. That sucks too, because that means I talk even more. I hang out with musicians, and musicians are people who love to talk as soon as the show's over, but we have to talk loud because the room's loud. So I'm a loud talking human being who just can't stop talking. So I wrote a song called Empty Wagons because I just couldn't stand that about myself. How come my dad is such a great, silent human being? How can he go to a party and not say one word? And I go in, I can't spend 2 seconds without talking up a storm. So yeah, I wrote that song because of that. There was just so much that I was dealing with that I really thought, well, I need to write all this down somewhere. So I think that's mainly what Texican Velvet was. But how I presented it was through these acoustic. I wanted it to be nothing but acoustic on the album.
So I just wanted to chat about that so I could segue into my favorite song on the record, which also happens to be the last track, which is just such a smart placement of the song, because I feel like the two songs that have to be the most captivating are the first and the last song, right? The first thing people hear and the last thing they hear when they're done with the record, because you want them to listen again. That's so important. And Hounding Me, in my opinion, it's my favorite song on the record. It's the best song on the record, in my opinion. And it's the last song on the record. And I know why, but I would love for you to chat about how this song came to be, and then ultimately why you chose for it to be the last track on the record.
I'll be honest with you. I wanted to write something that I wanted the feeling that you get when you listen to "I Can Hear It Calling in the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins.
It's exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? That little feeling of like just something ain't right, something don't feel right. I love that uneasy. And a friend of mine told me, you should cover that. And I was like, nah, I'd rather just write a song. Could cover it. So I sat down and I wrote. Again, that one was easy to know that was going to go in the album because it was everything that I'd been feeling all in one little moment. And plus I'd gone through so much in my past that I recognized some of the telltales, the hints that come through my life, things that happened to me that equals the bad stuff that happened before. So when I had a big problem with drinking, like way too much, I mean, just overdoing it, the reason was because of this, and this. And I realized, oh, it's me. Like the reason why I go and do all these destructive things is because I learned these things when I was younger and I can't shake them. So that song's more about me just shaking those things, those feelings that start to haunt and come at you and make you realize, oh, maybe I'm not going to be the person that I'm striving for. And that really got to me. Was a couple times I'd have to stop myself, and so I wrote about it. I wrote the song in a way where I knew it was going to be a duet. I had in my there's a such a good singer from Wichita Falls, and she now lives in Fort Worth, and I can't wait to say her name. It's Hazel. It's Hazel. She started doing her own solo career after this, but she is the vocals on there, and she's amazing. Go watch her. She's awesome. And I'd seen her before in Wichita Falls, and I kind of, in my head, I thought it would be really cool if she did this song with me, and she did. And so that's how that song came about. And I knew it was going to be the last song because I was kind of writing it like that. Like I kind of wanted it to be as big as the last song on, if you listen to any of my albums, the last song on Lullaby for the Rapture is Dermanellian.
Mhm.
And that's a big I made it just like Paul would. Let's grab these 3 parts. Let's make sure they fit. Let's bring it back to the beginning at the very end. Can we make the ending sound a little different somehow? I did the same thing with Tall Tales of a Brown Buffalo, which was Wake the Dead. And I did the same thing, now that I'm thinking of it, of The Other Side of Hell, which was called Truth and Beauty. And I just like the ends of albums to be big. Like, Abbey Road is such a great example. The end of that is just so perfect. The whole second half of the Abbey Road album, and it ends so big. And then as soon as it ends, you're ready to flip it and hear it all over again. That's a journey. You just want it all over again. So I just want to create that.
Well, we're going to show a live version of this song where you guys are just messing around in the living room. I love it's so organic. I think you know the video I'm talking about. But
Yeah, that's Hazel on there. Yes,
yeah, absolutely. So we're going to share that video with folks so they can hear the song. And I've been waiting. It's 2026. Also, I want to apologize not just to James, but everybody out there for the delay. We just had like the ice storm of the century here in 2026 in Northeast Texas, and clearly my internet is not handling it well. But I wanted to tell you this in person. It's almost February. Hounding Me was my favorite song of 2025.
Oh, that is
Anything
awesome.
I had heard, and I have not put out a top 10 list yet because I wanted to tell you in person. My favorite song of the year, and my favorite record wasn't Texican Velvet, but it was top 10. And you'll understand why when I tell you my favorite record was Sis Draper by Sean Camp, which is also an amazing concept record. I'm sure you can appreciate that.
I'm very appreciative to be anywhere near there, man. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
Thank you
just
so
such
much.
a great tune, man. I love now that I hear like the reason for the song is kind of like In the Air Tonight, and I hear it now in the repetitive nature of kind of the lyrics that you're using in the tune, and it comes from a place of mortality, doesn't it? Like it's super like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and also recognizing that sounds dumb, but it's like triggers almost. It's something coming at me that is making me feel uncomfortable. And that's, of course, as an artist, I feel weird when I'm comfortable because I've been uncomfortable for so long. And I think it was Max Stalling that said this: nothing's worse than a musician who's happy or a songwriter who's
Sounds
happy.
like something Max would say. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when he told me, he's like, because he looked over at my wife. He's like, way to go.
Well, I'm so excited to play this song on this show because, again, I can't say it enough. My favorite song of 2025, y'all, it's Hounding Me by James Cook. Y'all check it out.
The sun gave way to the ground below. You can hear the dog howl and the sound of a bellow. I hold you close when the winds blow through. Oh, listen to me, sister, there's a twist ahead right for you. We'll keep looking to the skies for a sign, but there'll be no warning. If we hold on tight, we might make it to the morning. Something in the air's hounding me tonight. Something in the air's hounding our way this time. Something in the air, sounding me. Swim from the edge of the great unknown. Mighty, mighty breeze guaranteed to cut you to the bone. Directing my soul with the weather vane. All rain's gonna fall, gonna drown these tears away. Something in the air sounding me tonight. Something in the air sounding me tonight. Something in the wind's coming in from the other side. Something big's headed our way this time. Something in the air sounding me. We'll keep looking to the skies for a sign, but there'll be no warning. If we hold on tight, we might make it to the morning. 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 Oh no, something in the wind's coming in from the other side. Something big's headed our way this time. Something in the air sounding me tonight. Oh, something in the air sounding me tonight. Oh, something in the air sounding me.
All right, so we're back with James, and I mean, I knew this was going to be one of those conversations where it was legitimately a conversation more than an interview, and that's what makes it so cool. You guys are going to get, obviously, you're getting lots of tidbits out of this, and it's so intriguing and fascinating chatting with James, who has a lot of really cool perspective from multiple sides of the business. Not just singer-songwriter, but radio, and you have your own podcast where you do exactly what we're doing, interviewing cool people in the scene. How do you like doing that, man? Being behind the microphone and chatting with other folks.
I love it. I've always loved interviewing people. It's always been one of my favorite things to do, being able to talk to musicians from Texas. The first interview I had was Brandon Ryder. It was the best interview. I loved it. And I realized, man, I want to do that more. When podcast form came about, I realized this is what I've been waiting for. A real conversation. Because we in radio got like 5 minutes to talk to somebody about their creation.
Yeah.
Come on. That's not enough time for me. I want them to talk about it. So I remember the Brandon Ryder interview. I had to like break up into like 3 different parts, and it was still way, way too long. So I realized once podcast came, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I really want to talk to people and get to know them and get other people to know them. And it's always a great conversation because like you're doing here, you know, people want to talk about what they create and what, you know, stuff like that. So I've been lucky enough to talk to great musicians, great DJs. That's something I love talking about also. I know you got Buzz on your show coming up here soon.
Can't wait for y'all to see that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And see these, and the coolest thing about DJs, whenever you talk to them, they've got tons of stories, and they're looking at it from so many different angles, and they have such a great perspective from their end. And you know, nothing's cooler than hearing the first time I heard Turnpike Troubadours, that kind of story. You know what I mean? Like those are always so.
Yeah, we have an entertainment
great.
lawyer coming on the show soon too. A very well-known entertainment lawyer by the name of John Mason. which is going to be interesting. I've never looked at the music business from that lane before. So that should be a very interesting conversation as well. And I try to do that, like obviously the main focus of the show is always going to be the songwriter, but there's so many different branches of the entertainment industry that I think are important to learn about and give people their flowers. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, definitely.
man, Buzz is the perfect example of that too, right? Like he's just so dang humble and down to earth and has so much to offer people. So it's cool to help people kind of hear his name and see it and put it on their lips even for a short time, because Buzz deserves that in my opinion. He has a lifetime of knowledge and commitment to what he's done.
Yeah, and Buzz has been in the business for a while, and he's winning
42
awards like
years,
left and
man.
right.
42 years. Crazy.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Mhm.
See, there's so many stories just off that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're getting so many different perspectives. And yikes, I can't wait to hear that interview.
It's
But that- yeah.
it's great, dude. You just wait. It's so cool. Some of my favorite folks to talk to are on radio people, especially nowadays where everything is shifting. It's been shifting for a while from terrestrial to internet to short form to all of this stuff. And so to get kind of the old troubadour guy that's been doing it forever's kind of perspective on that is interesting. I'm not going to give it away. Y'all have to go check it out. But yeah, you'll want to hear Buzz on that for sure. All right, we're going to go off the rails with James Cook here. If you've seen an interview or two, James, you probably know what's going to happen. But we have all of these short form segments that I do. That's going to be fun. And we use these for like TikToks and reels and shorts and things like that. So first segment, you can choose one of two. Either choose Did You Know or choose Algorithm.
Did you know?
All right, so what is something that people may not know about James Cook?
I'll leave it on the line, man. There's nothing they don't know. No, I don't. Oh, man. I can recite every line from Ghostbusters. I found out recently.
He found it out. He found it out.
I thought I did until we watched it, and then I realized, oh yeah, I definitely got all.
So
these
I'm
movies down.
Forrest Gump with that, and I'll tell you why. When I was a little bit younger, I was raising 3 kids alone, and we didn't have the money for the we didn't have money for the DirecTV bill one month, right? So all we had was this old box TV that had like a DVD player in it. And the only DVD we had that would kind of restart the movie after it ended was Forrest Gump. So usually what would happen is a movie will stop and then it'll just sit on the menu and it'll play this theme song over and over again. But with Forrest Gump, it would automatically restart the movie every single time. So me and my kids know every single frickin' line to Forrest Gump because that's what we went to sleep to every single night.
When you started this story, I thought you were going to say we didn't have any movies, so I would reenact Forrest Gump for my kids.
No.
I thought that's what you were going to tell me, was that like every night I would just sit in front of them and go, life is like a box of chocolates.
But no,
And then just eat
my
it up,
kids
'cause
would
they
be
didn't know.
6, 7, 8 years old, and they're
Start
using
making
like
up words.
they're using all these Gumpisms in school and like as part of everyday life and everything. My son would be 6 years old going, "It happens." Oh man, it's good stuff. All right, next segment is called Impactful. So can you name 3 people that impacted your life in some way, and then tell us the biggest thing you learned from each of those people.
Real or just, I mean, people in my life or just like big time people, doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, it's open ended.
One of the people I can say is my dad. He was a big influence because when I was growing up, sometimes people just didn't know shit. They just didn't know stuff. And there were certain people in my life that would try to act like they knew things. And one of the things I remember respecting from my father was he would look me dead in the eye when I would ask a question and say, I don't know. Son, I don't know. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. When he knew stuff, he would let me know. And that's how I knew he was always straight with me. Because when he didn't know, he didn't try to make it up. He didn't try to give me some he just didn't know. And it was such a relief. And as I get older, I try really hard to just because it's harder now to be that person. Plus, my dad, very knowledgeable person. Big Jim Russell, who works with me at the radio station, or worked with me for many years. I would be so afraid to go out and see people that knew me. Like when you're from a small town, you become a local celebrity. It's not that hard, especially years back. When I met him, he was so good at being a local celebrity and I'd watch him and he would tell me how he would do it. And I think it just made it easier for me. It made it where I didn't have to act like somebody. I didn't have to be somebody else. I could just be me and be comfortable with it. Even though Jim was completely different than me, he would just give me advice on that kind of stuff. And it really calmed me down a little bit. It made it where I could see people and just be myself. I was totally fine being myself. I know I'm saying this sounds weird to say these out loud because I'm having to do them on the fly, but I guess another one would be Paul McCartney because he's the person that helps me write music all the time. It's that mentality of just going in and being as creative as possible, and not really giving a damn what others think, but at the same time balancing that. I think his balance of music and how he handles songwriting and lyrics, that's always been something, of course there's other songwriters that I love and respect and they influence me hardcore, but I think he was probably the biggest one, period. So those are probably 3 people in my life that are off the top of my head. I'm sure that, off the top of my head, those are the 3 people.
All right, next segment's called Song Obsession. This is a new segment we just started doing. What song are you obsessed with right now? Can't get it out of your head.
Talks Hards. There's a band called the Talks Hards. I found them on TikTok. They're my favorite rock band right now. I love those guys so much.
So what's the song?
God, How Lucky Am I? That's one of my favorites. Doom Bop is another favorite of mine. Angus, the prize-winning hog.
I love
Angus, the prize-winning hog. Sounds like old school Primus. It's so good. I've not gotten excited about rock music in so long. I do love listening to younger rock music and punk music. I'm really into that stuff also. But they flew through my page, and the first line was, the first thing I did when I crawled from the wreckage was say, please don't call 911. I was like, that's going to be my new favorite band. I love that first line. He also has a line that says, my younger self, are you proud of me? And then later on in this song, he says, my older self, have you forgiven me?
Wow.
And I remember just being blown away by this punk rock band writing really good, insightful lines. They weren't just like angry lines or, around that age, younger age, you expect anger and why did mom and dad do this to me kind of stuff, teenage angst. And the band is so enlightened. They sound like a mixture of Foo Fighters and Jack Black somehow mixed in with like Rush. I couldn't even. It's so much awesomeness in one band.
That's
for
great.
A rock band. So
I love it.
That's an easy one, but that's just because I've been into them. And every time I say their name, people are like, "What? Who's that band?"
I love it, man. Can't wait.
They're so damn good.
Can't wait to tag them in this. It's going to be great. All right, next segment's called What the Heck, and the way I do this is I have a list of questions here, and before the show starts, I randomly pull 5 numbers from a hat, and those 5 numbers correspond with the questions I'm about to ask. So I'm only saying that to let you know, James, that these are completely random and I did not choose them. All right?
Okay.
Just so you know. All right, number 1, would you rather, if you were a crayon, what color would you be and why?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I want a good answer. I don't got one, but I want one. Can I tell you the answer? I'm a people pleaser, but I'm a mom pleaser big time. So my mom was be like, "Mijo, why didn't you say brown?" So I'm just gonna say brown.
Because mom said so?
Because mom says so.
Number 2.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Number 2, have you ever tripped on stage? And the assumption is the answer will be yes. So the important part of the question is, and if so, how did you play it off as cool?
I didn't. This is the best. I was doing a show, and I want to tell you the beginning of this story, but I'll tell you the end of it because it's me tripping. It was a horrible show. It was the worst show. I was like in my early 20s. I was with this rock band. We were jumping up and down. At the end of this one song, we were like, it was so intense. And I was looking at the guitarist with my microphone in my hand, and he was looking at me with his guitar in his hand. And we're breathing, and it's like, the song's over, baby. That was awesome. And from the crowd, you just hear a faint, "You guys suck." I don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life, but it caused me to have a good time afterwards. I drank some drinks. At the end of this show, we called it, because not only was it a horrible show, but I tripped on the microphone, which grabbed the PA, which swung the speaker cords, which grabbed both speakers, and all of it fell like a domino thing that happened to us. And I watched it. And what was funny was the guitarist that was playing with me at the time, we both knew, like, this is the worst show ever. Like, ever. And we're providing the noise to this, the soundtrack to the crappiest show ever. And when he saw it, like, because he had a cigarette in his mouth. I'll never forget when it started falling, he was just sitting there like sideways and going, almost like, yeah, this is about right. This is about what should happen. This is how it should end. So, yeah, I've tripped on stage a few thousand times.
And you've never played it off at school? Not one time?
I play it off all the time. But that time I did not play it off. That was the worst ever.
All right,
and I've played it off a few times.
Number 4, so you're riding into battle, okay? And so you can ride into battle on any animal, and whatever animal you choose is going to be the size of a horse. So if it's smaller than a horse, it'll be blown up to the size of a horse, and if it's bigger, then it'll be decreased in size to a horse. Which animal would you ride into battle?
Dragonfly.
Yes, finally. I've been waiting for the dragonfly answer.
Dragonfly, and in my head, it doesn't matter if it's playing or not. Immigrant Song is playing in the background while I zoom in on my enemies.
God.
And you will know me by the trail of dead I leave with me and my dragonfly.
So I need somebody out there that is good with AI to make James Cook a video riding a dragonfly with Immigrant Song playing in the background, and email it to me at the Boston Chris Show at the Boston Chris Show at gmail.com. Make that shit happen. I dare you.
Please and thank you.
Yes. All right. Last one of what the heck with James Cook. This is a non-political answer. I need you to remember that. So, which celebrity annoys you the most?
Oh man, it's really hard not to make it political.
I know.
Let's see. Because it's not their fault. It's politics' fault. They make you hate
everybody.
So good. They do it so well nowadays. Mm-hmm. They make you hate so well. God, celebrity? I don't know. I have a hard time with that one because who would? Oof. Let's think. There's some, I guess it's because every one that I'm thinking of, I'm like, well, you don't really, like every person I'm thinking of, I immediately go, well, you don't really hate that person. You don't
yeah,
really
but see,
know
I'm not asking you if you hate them. I'm
clips of
asking you if you're annoyed by them. For example, I don't hate Gilbert Gottfried, but man, does he annoy the piss out of me.
That makes sense. Because Gilbert Gottfried, I kind of like I love, but I think that's why I like him is because others are annoyed by him, and I think it's like freaking hilarious to me. And I think I just know the shtick, and I'm more like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to annoy the hell out of you. Oh man, no one's coming to mind. That sucks. So many people piss me off all day long. How come none of them are coming to my mind right now?
Putting on the spot. All right, let me try a different number 5. And
try a different number 5.
All right,
Let's see.
So. Let me see. All right, this is an easy one. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm both. That's an easy one for me. I hate that I'm both, but I am definitely both.
Well, which one do you like more? How's that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I love both of them. I
Interesting.
love staying out late and being crazy and doing whatever the hell I want to do. And I love waking up early before anybody else.
Yeah.
I think it's that everybody else is asleep and I'm like, let's do whatever.
See, I
early
just make
mornings-
sure I'm enough of a night owl that everybody's still asleep by the time I go to bed. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good.
No, I'll
guess-
keep it real. Like, my bedtime's probably between 3 and 5 a.m. And the one thing that I miss as a night owl is donut shops. Like, they close at noon. I never see them, ever. I haven't seen a donut shop in probably 10 years. Like,
That'll
open.
do it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was doing, because I answer this question like all the time, because when you do radio, morning radio, and you do shows, they ask you, well, how the hell do you do that? I just love both. I don't really prefer the other, because this morning I woke up at 4 a.m. and I went and did tons of stuff to this house, and I got the outside because it was snowing all.
I went to sleep at 6, James.
I woke up at 4, but like, and then last night I went to sleep at 7. I guess it's because like my head doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's so used to like, what, 2 weeks from now I got to play a show because I'm taking a break this weekend, but the weekend after that we go back on tour. You know, don't start playing till 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you're done, and then you got a whole night to tear down.
Yep.
And afterwards you want to talk to the people. You're not going straight. I'm not going to bed after a show.
It's impossible
After a show-
anyway. Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah, you can't. It's too
Yeah.
much going on inside your body.
Yeah.
You can't go to bed. But if I go to bed at 2 a.m., it doesn't matter. I'm still going to wake up at 6 a.m. the next day.
I would not
and my
be able to
body's-
live like that. No, yeah.
It's hard.
But-
But I am a fan of naps. So,
See, I can't
else?
nap. I have something called circadian, what is it? Free-flowing sleep pattern, which is like a circadian thing. It's an actual diagnosis they gave me when I was an adult, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So essentially the way it works, the way it's been explained to me, is I live on like a 26-hour day, whereas most people are 24 hours. And so like I'll sleep for 10 hours every single night if there's no alarm or anything like that involved, if I don't wake myself up for any reason. And I still live the same 16-hour day that everybody else does. So I'm always going to bed 2 hours later, waking up 2 hours later every single day. Which and so when I interrupt that, it's unnatural for me, and it's really, really devastating results when I cut off my sleep. So yeah, it's really, really hard to stay on schedule. Hence why the military didn't work out for me for very long, to be fair.
oh man.
Yeah. So there were some days in the military where I would be on 2 or 3 hours of sleep just because of that circadian rhythm. It was hard. Anyway, next segment is called Fly on the Wall. So in all of history, James, if you could be the fly on the wall in a room, what would it be? Which room?
God, I just saw that the Abbey Road picture is there right now, so I'm realizing how many of my answers are going straight to the Beatles. And I hate that for you because I know that you're looking for different answers.
Not at
But I think
all.
it was like
I'm
always a
looking for
joke
the
I used to
right
always
answers,
say was,
James.
man, okay, I think it's the Beatles stuff. Anytime Paul was in the studio, or at least was my answer for many years. I used to do a joke where I would say, I wish I could go back in time and be Ringo Starr. And that way I could just sit there and watch the Beatles work. It would just be fun to watch them work. But then again, I realized as an adult, I wouldn't be able to play anywhere near as good as Ringo did on those songs. I used to think he was not that good when I was younger. It wasn't until I got older that I realized, oh, that guy's actually really good for what he did. But Fly on the Wall, yeah, I want to see recordings of anything, really. Beatles just first one to come to mind. I'm a big fan of the studio. I'm a big fan of the studio.
Did you know, speaking of Abbey Road, you probably already know this, but did you know the Abbey Road console is in Palmer, Texas?
The Abbey Road console, what's that mean?
The mixing board that they used in the studio in Abbey Road, the Abbey Road Studios.
What's it doing in Dallas?
It's in Palmer.
I want to see this.
Yeah, so Pappy Middleton, who is a producer for Erykah Badu and Bonnie Raitt, he owns it now. And it's literally sitting in Palmer, Texas at Palmyra Studios.
Dude, gotta cut a song.
Yeah, that's why I told you need to go. I will give you his number.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me write a giant, sitting in the back seat of my car type song.
And he still
before
works reel to reel too. It's all analog.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely get you in touch with him. I figured you knew about that, being such a big
No.
fan. But yeah, we did an interview with him, and somebody told me after. Like, I did the whole interview. We visited with him. He's a friend of mine now, but like, we're sitting at the console, and I had no clue that it was the console. I just figured it was one that looked like it, right? Like this.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a cool replica. And then somebody's like commented on one of my pictures. You know, that's the console, right? I was like, no,
That's crazy.
but yeah, I'll show you some pictures. Cool stuff there, man. That would be dope if you did a record there. All right, next segment. Man, I don't know which one to choose. I'll let you choose one. How about either biggest lesson or moment of gravity?
Biggest lesson?
All right, so what do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned directly from music?
Music's the greatest thing that I could have ever attached to in my life. So I never take it for granted. I never look at it as just noise I'm making. In my life, I've seen so much in my life. And all of the good stuff has always been around music. All of the connections, all of the moments where I've learned about myself, all of the moments that I've done self-therapy, all of the moments where I've met the most amazing people that I still hang out with to this day. Music is everything. I knew it when I was younger, but as I get older, I recognize it as more than just a good time. I recognize it as more than just a trend. I recognize it now as food, as energy, as a source of life. So out of all the lessons I've ever learned, music has given me every perspective I've ever looked at in different eyes, different angles, learning about people, learning about myself. All of it is from one thing. Things that have made me feel good, things that have made me cry for happiness, sadness, gratitude. All of that is from just music. So I've learned everything that I know in life from music.
It's a life raft for you, isn't it?
It is everything. Yeah. I think because there was a moment where I started saying, oh, you really put your career in a little bit of a hole, buddy, because you chose two professions that do not pay the bills. So you're going to have to come up with ways to pay the bills. And it becomes something then. But I never once thought to walk away from it. And it had nothing to do with, well, it's just cooler. I don't even know what my life would be without music. I really don't. It's everything. My kids experienced my music making growing up. I would make songs off the top of my head for them. I'd sing to them. To this day, they could probably still sing the time to wake up for school, where I stole the theme from a Star Wars cantina scene just to sing to them. So every little part of me is musical. And I don't think it's just me. I think it's just every part of me connects to the music. And is uplifted by the music, and is even the part where I've listened to lines of songs that hit, like, just hurt inside of me. Nobody else knows why I'm crying. Nobody else knows why I'm emotional about that. They don't know my past. They don't know that I did that stuff. They don't know that line equals this part of my history, and it just hurts to remember that part. And it's good to know it's still there. And it's good to know that line did that to me. I just love that. It's life for me.
Man, I love that so much. This is why we do this, y'all.
Hope that's not too cheesy.
No, you're amazing, dude. So you showed us your coffee cup earlier. It says grateful on it. Our next segment is called gratitude. It's the second to last one. And it's my show is designed in such a way that it's very self-reflective in a way. I want you to give yourself your own flowers in a lot of ways, because I think that's important. So gratitude is, what are the three things that you think you're the most grateful for, James?
My family, without a doubt. And it means every single person in my family. Yeah, I'm grateful for every single person in my family. That's an easy one. I'm grateful that I got brave enough to say music is what I'm gonna do some music in itself. I'm grateful for music. I'm grateful for family, and I'm grateful for the friends that I've made because of music. Very grateful for them. God, and I'm thinking right now. It's a moment to reflect and just think of all the wonderful people I've met in my life because of music. So yeah, I guess that's a typical answer. I hate saying it, but
There's no typical, man. There's no such thing as typical.
I think it's because, like, in 2020, that was a good year for me. And I hate saying that because I know it wasn't a good year for everybody, but it was a good year for me because I got to reflect and think, what am I spending my energy on? And is it worth it? And the one thing that I remember saying was your family, your friends that you've made, and music. Those are really the things that you should just always make sure they're doing okay. How well are they doing? Because they mean so much to you that you should check in on them as much as possible.
Man, you remind me of a song by Casey Musgraves called Deeper Well, when she's talking about cutting out the toxic in her life and focusing on the things that matter. And sometimes you have to go to a deeper well to find those things that matter the most. I highly suggest that song to anybody that's having trouble with toxicity in their lives. But anyway, that has nothing to do with James Cook.
Well, I do want to say this because I do want to recite a line that means a lot to me. Crow and Gazelle, have you heard of them?
They're scheduled, man. I'm so stoked. I can't wait.
Oh, they're incredible.
Yes.
The line of lines that I bawled when I heard it was, "I'm letting go of all that does not serve me." Oh,
Yep.
That one hit, man. So yeah, screw everything else.
I love that. So just so we're clear, Crow and Gazelle will be on this show 2 weeks after this one comes out. So
you're gonna love it.
I can't wait. Yeah,
two.
I'm so excited to chat with them, man. What a group. Just an incredible duo. Scaled back, like no, I just so much to talk about. But
I've known Chrisland, his wife. I've known her longer than I've known Mike.
yeah,
I've known Chris. She's from Wichita Falls, actually.
Nice, very cool. All right, so go ahead.
Tell her I said hi.
I sure will. I sure will. All right, last segment, and this could be the hardest one for you to answer because you have to talk about yourself a little bit, James. This is called "Who Do You Think You Are?" So, who is James Cook?
Father, son, musician, lover of music, DJ, somebody who went through so much in his life that he's always making sure everybody else doesn't have to go through a fraction of what he had to go through. I don't like, and again, people don't like talking about themselves, but when I look back, I realize I survived a hell of a lot. There was a lot that went on with me, and very grateful to be on the other side. So yeah, just a grateful human being.
It's James Cook, the singer-songwriter, the DJ, the podcast host, the father, the everything, man. I appreciate you for doing this. This has been a long time coming. I'm so proud to be your friend and to see where you're going, where you've been, all of that stuff, man. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you.
So I'm going to let folks know where they can follow along. First of all, again, I highly, highly recommend the latest record, which is called Texican Velvet. Just an incredible record. Check it out, front to back. If you're like me, listen to it in order. That's important. That's the way it was made to sound. The website for James is called jamescookmakesmusic.com. We're going to put that in the description / show notes down below so you guys can easily follow with everything he's got going on. He does have social medias as well all over the place. Facebook is at James Cook Makes Music. Twitter is at James_Cook Music. Instagram is at James Cook _music. So follow along on the platforms that you use. And I imagine the biggest thing you would say is the best way to support you is to go to a show, right?
Hey, everybody, we're Crow and Gazelle.
Thanks for tuning in to the Boston Chris Show.